Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is January the 4th. This will be our chart lesson, first one of the new year, starting with 2016. I hope everybody had a great uh, Christmas and New Year's holiday, and looks like there were fireworks. We come back, a really interesting day. Most of this sell-off came in the overnight. This was just too steep, and then we kind of leveled off here. Um, there is a break here and a new low, and then we started higher. I think you were better off playing these shorter term trend lines in the afternoon. I don't, this is after 2 o'clock here, so I didn't mark any of that. But that's a pretty nice rally. We've about taken 50% of this move back. There is a gap here on the daily chart because we closed up here the previous trading day, and then we opened 8:30 somewhere way down in here. Um, so there's a nice gap there. So we still got a ways to go to fill that gap. I'm not sure if we'll fill it, how quickly we will. Usually we fill those gaps pretty quickly. But yeah, we came back to some fireworks in the overnight. At least the market did take back a large portion of it. But we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. Maybe things will come back. They said it was based on some concerns about the economy and I guess China's economy, but we don't care. It's always interesting to see what they make up to fit the price action. And believe me, they make the news up to fit the price action because the news can affect the market in so many different ways. They never know how it's going to affect the market. So usually by the time the news comes out, whatever they're talking about is already built in, and so we really don't care what the news is. We just want to know how the price action reacts, and then we take it from there, read what's going on, and trade based off on what we're seeing, not what we think, or not what especially not what the experts say, because they're usually wrong. So they might be able to get it right longer term, but day by day they're usually wrong. So, but anyway, nice. There's still plenty of trades today. Still pretty good day. Um, Regardless, if whether generally we're not going to trade in the overnight, so we're going to miss this, and that's one reason why some of this stuff sells off so hard. It's much easier to move in the overnight, and if they want to run it down in the overnight, they can. People with buying or selling power that can move the market can easily move it down in the overnight or easily move it up. Either way, it doesn't take as much buying or selling during those hours to move the market. And so I prefer to stay out of those time frames. And generally, the market's safe to start trading maybe 6:30 or 7 in the morning, somewhere in that in that time frame. But I usually wait till about 7 o'clock. I try to get to the office, right around the 7 o'clock hour and get started. And and there's generally sufficient volume and fairly decent trading at that time. A lot of times there's days when I can be done by 8:30 or 9, so you don't have to sit around here all day. A couple of hours, and then some days there's not as much going on, and you got to trade till lunchtime or whatever. So, um, some good trades today. So, but let's back out anyway. Welcome back, everybody. A couple other things real quick before I forget about it. If you tried to log into the website this morning, you couldn't get in. I couldn't get in either. Um, we had to uh, we had to reload a backup from the previous day. So if you made any comments or anything that disappeared from yesterday to today, I doubt there probably were any. But if there were, that's what happened to them. We lost them because we had to do a backup from the previous day to get the site going again. Everything seemed to be working. You just couldn't log in, and I couldn't get in either. There was some kind of database error. Not sure what happened, but we got it fixed. Seems to be working properly now. If you notice anything, please let me know. But as far as I can tell, everything is working properly again, and hopefully that's a one-time deal. It looks like it happened right around. Looks like there was some stuff going on around 3 or 4 in the morning that everything was working. Um, so it must have happened sometime between 3 a.m. my time and when I tried to log on the first time around 9 o'clock this morning. So But anyway, we've got that fixed. I apologize. Uh, Never could figure out what it was. We just did a backup, reloaded a backup, and everything's fine now. So, but anyway, let's get to the chart lesson. Let's talk about the trades. And again, if you do notice anything else with the site that doesn't seem like it's acting right, let me know. But I tested it pretty well this afternoon, and everything seems good. So, um, but let's move on to the chart lesson. You can see the big sell-off here during the overnight. Um, and this is a huge, this is like a 45 point sell off. The highs were around 2043, and by the time the market opened right in here, we're down 50 something points. So this is a huge sell off, and we went a little bit lower before we reversed, and ended up taking about half of it back or so. But let's back out and where you can see it a little better, and we'll talk about the trades. And notice how I saw it here. We had the short, the tighter channel here that's real strong. We had a two-legged break, and then we moved to a new low, and it looked like we were probably going to reverse, but it didn't. It ended up just continuing lower, and this actually confirmed the trend line here, and that's why I like this second entry short here, because it confirmed this spike in channel here. And then we had a break of that in a new low, but we could never go higher. And so if you drew that trend line right there, at first I just drug it down to right here, and it looked like we had a real tight channel going. But when we but once we started going lower again, notice we kept shooting past that. Then that leads you to believe that, hey, there's probably two tiers of this thing, and so just drag it down an equal distance, and notice where it bounces right there. Perfect two-tiered equal distance channel. And we did get a break here as well, but that would have led you to find exactly where we're going to down here. Pretty straightforward. Once you know how to do that, it work. You can use that pretty. There's people always say, well, how'd you find the trend line? And sometimes, and just like this point right here, if you drew this line off those two swings and drug it up and had it sitting there, it fits pretty nicely there, and it bounces right off of that, then and confirms it. You probably, you got a good thing going, and you really could have found it off these two and drug it down to here and been ready for that bounce as well. So you can find these things working from both sides, so keep that in mind. But anyway, first trade I saw, I drew this line here, drug it up. It fits perfectly off these two, so I'm just waiting on it to come back here. And we just see what happens, and notice it. Let me make this just a tad bigger again. And notice what happens here. You get this little double 3-bar matching high, kind of a triple top, and you get one tick above and it turns down. And this is second entry too. This is not a perfect signal bar, but it's a trap. It confirms this trend line. It's a second entry short. You've actually got a little small trend working up there. And you get a little break and a move to a new high with that trap and all the other reasons. So I like that, and I like it for a sure thing almost, especially when you've been selling off that hard. You're probably going to at least test this low again. Notice we come on down and actually end up making another new low, but that's because this spike in channel, and this was the channel, and this came into play, and we got a break here at a new low. But then it bounces here, and there's actually a second entry short here. It never triggers. It's right into that last swing low right there. So I don't think I would take it regardless. But when it turns up again and fails, now you got a failed second entry long. You basically got a lower high as well. And so I like that one. And that's a, even though it looks like a doji, it's just one tick off its low. That's a rather bearish bar. Um, you did have to be thinking about, hey, is this setting up as a range here? But this bigger trend line is probably going to take precedence. So I like that to the downside. You don't want to try to take a long there, even though there's a failed break and it would have worked. You don't want to do that. Notice here too, you've got another little trend line working up. You get a break, a new high, and it turns down. That's the first break of this channel. Um, it's a second entry short. It's a big bearish bar. It's a breakout pullback short from that support across there. Lots of reasons to like that trade. And quick, easy move down. It actually takes it a second to get going, but once it gets going, the bottom just falls out of it. And I would have already been looking for my equal distance down here. It doesn't quite play out. It comes back up here to this, and I didn't like going. It's tempting to go short right here, but you don't have a very good signal bar. You got about 3 bars kind of stacking up there. You've got this trend line, but you don't really have a whole lot to confirm it yet. It doesn't get confirmed really till here, and you get a break at the same time. So you have to be careful with this one. But when you got that second attempt to go higher there and it turns down instantly and you get that big bearish bar, I like just using stop there. You could have considered using a limit order and dropping it in a few ticks back, and you could have gotten filled way back up in here, maybe only a tick into this. So that's something to think about. But you know, I've mentioned that a lot, but there's pluses and minuses to trying to be conservative. Sometimes by being conservative, you're going to miss some of the best trades, and this is a really good move here. So if you put your limit order up here and it doesn't get filled, and this goes without you, then you've missed a good move. When you really don't have to be quite as conservative, there's one reason to consider being conservative on this, because it's right into the EMA and there's not a lot of room there, and sometimes it'll bounce on you. But the fact that you got this, that you drew this line across here and it came back and pretty much kind of tested it again. The fact that we've been all downhill. There's also some resistance right across here. I don't have that line on there, but that's something else that you should have considered. And you can see it turns down right off that. I just used the closes of that highest point. You might have even brought it down to here, because you get more touches there. Still get the same thing. Actually, I don't have that line drawn quite right, but you get the point. There's resistance right there, but draw this line for sure. And but it's a nice second entry short. You really don't get another opportunity there. We're bouncing off this little trend line all the way down through here, but that's a fairly bearish bar that's worth considering, but you never get that tick higher. If this would have ticked higher, this would have been a beautiful setup here, but I was a little weary of it. I probably should make it green, because there's some reasons, and if you're wanting to be aggressive, it is very similar to a pullback to the EMA and all, but the fact that it doesn't tick higher makes it a little bit disconcerting. So I'll make it green though, because there's still some reasons to take it. We're probably going to test that low. And if this turns out to be a trend line and a channel here, we could go a lot lower, which we did end up going a lot lower. But you get a close outside here, a new low, and then you're going the other way. You get a break here. There's actually a little bit of a trap here, but I just think you're a little crazy to go long here. It's a little bit risky. There's some matching highs there. That's a very bullish bar, and there's probably going to be some people trapped. But I was be more afraid of getting trapped to the long side. So I don't think you can take that trade. And you definitely don't want to take this one, because it's right back into the trend line. Even though it would have worked, look at this, how it turns down. This is what you're waiting on, is to get short here. And that's a quick, easy move. And then you get a little going, you get going sideways here. There's a lot of overlap there. But this thing breaks higher and fails. I like going short right there. It's right off that trend line again. and this turns out to be a really good trade. I could, I, some people will probably say, well, there's a lot of overlap there, there's congestion, and there is, and you need to be concerned about that. But if you see the bigger picture and you see how strong this trend is to the downside, I mean, this was so strong here that this doesn't even look strong. But when you back out and look at it without the other, this is still a nice 45-degree angle down almost. So it's a nice, healthy downtrend. And we're going to probably test the low because this is the first break of that line coming down through there. You don't want to go short here. You could look at this like a breakout pullback short because of that congestion right across there, but I think it's risky. I just don't think you want to go short there, that close to that low, and it's not too far from these lows. I think there's enough room to get out, but I think you're better off to wait. And it is a trap, a failed second entry long. So you got that to think about. Again, it's probably one you could make it green, but I think you're better off. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I think you're better off to wait. We're overdue for a pullback, and you might have even had this up here at that point because that's where I had it, and that's another reason I didn't like that one. It looked like there might have been an overshoot there, but I went ahead and moved it down just to see what happens. And I think this turns out to be it right here. But notice you get another overshoot right here, and so regardless of whether this one's it or the way I showed it to you here, either way you got to be concerned. There's an overshoot. Will we get one on the other side? So even though that's tempting to go short right there, that overshoot is exactly what would lead me to say, hey, I'm going to wait for a second entry here. And you get this big bearish bar. It's huge. It's going to be hard to get an entry on that bar. I'm okay with just using a stop here, but you might let it break lower and try to get a limit order, but you're not going to get filled more than maybe a tick back into that bar, if at all, and then it's gone again without you. We did make a new low here, and that's why I didn't really like that bar. And you're having to go low at the go short at the very low of the day at this point after a huge move down. So it's a little risky there. I think you were better off when it came back and you got this second entry short with that big bearish bar. There's plenty of room to get out on that one. Then you just kind of start going sideways, and you can clearly see that you got a two-tiered channel here. If you drug that down equal distance when it's bouncing there, that might have led you to skip this one because it did bounce to the tick off that line. But again, the fact that it turned down off that trend line and went lower and was so bearish was a second entry, I think you were still okay on that one. But I wouldn't risk any more entries in here. We're probably going to go back to the other side, and that's exactly what starts happening here. It's tempting to go long here. It's a second entry long, counting off the high. It's a second entry long, counting off the bottom. It kind of sets the trend line there. Especially if you drew it off the top, you can just drag that right down. It closes inside that. But everything's still above the EMA at this point. So I think you're better off to wait on that failed second entry short, see if it sets up. It does right here. It gives you a nice bullish bar. This is supposed to be blue. And off it goes. It takes a second. It pushes through there. It's tempting to go to add on here. The only reason I didn't like adding on here is because there's 4 or 5 bars in a row, and that is congestion. It's not really directly off the EMA. It's not really directly off of the trend line working up. It's off the midline coming down, but those are less reliable. So I think you just skip that one. And then really it gets kind of iffy in here. Notice there's a lot of greens. There's some reasons to consider a lot of these, but notice we're moving up. You get a break here, but you got the bigger trend line working down. We did get a break, But when you've touched it the third time here, you got to consider that. So it's worth considering going short right here. But the reason this one is green is because it's such a big bar, and really your stop has to go up here. So the only way you could take this one is if you got a limit order in here a little bit higher, and it would have come back and filled you here before going on down a couple of different times. Um, so I really think you're better off just kind of sit tight. But it is a failed, it is a triple test of that trend line working down. Uh, it does create resistance right there, even going sideways, and it's turning down right off of it. The key is you got to get in before you've got to work it out where you can get in, where you got enough room to get out before you get to here. So that means a limit order of some kind. After it breaks lower, then putting your stuff up here rather than putting a stop right here, because if it breaks lower, which it did, and you got to stop, then you probably get stopped out of that, because notice this goes higher than that bar by a tick, and you would have got stopped out. We're still looking to try to make a new high here, so it ends up just kind of going sideways, and then you get a failed second entry short here. Notice this is a double bottom pullback, first entry pullback, and that's a huge bearish bar, and I guarantee you a lot of people got short there. When that thing reversed, I like going long there. I'm still not, I still didn't make it blue, because the market has been selling off so hard. We're still in this range. There's a chance it goes up to here. You got enough room to get out though, and then it comes back down. So this one's green as well. Um, and then you get a failed second entry short right here. But again, there's too big a chance that you get trapped after a big move down, and we already have a high in place. But it is a failed second entry short, so I did mark it. Okay, I had a slight interruption, but we were talking about this trade. Or no, we were talking about this one. We were just a little close to that high, you know, but it is a failed second entry short. It would have worked. There's some reasons to consider it. Usually, a lot of times you'll get two legs up to a new high, and we do have a nice trend working up here. And if I haven't even talked about this either, but if you measure that, you're figuring, hey, maybe we're going to get a measured move up, and you can see that we would have got that. We actually got a little bit more than that. We weren't quite there yet here, so that was another reason to consider it. But then it turns around, sells off. There's actually a second entry short here, but look, by the time we get that, everything's still above the EMA. Look at all those bars lining up there. Most of the selling, most of the bars are closing on their low, so that's letting you know that the sellers are winning out, but there's still a lot of buying going on. So people are still thinking maybe we're going higher here. And but when we get this failed second entry long that traps everybody, and you got that trend line working down through there, I like that one for a short. Again, it's green because there's a lot of overlap, and the market's just kind of not really sure where it's going yet, but that trap really trapped a lot of people, and that's why we like them. That's what drove it down so quick, and look how it comes right back, and then it tries to go higher again, and you've actually got a lot of resistance across here now. You can see all that resistance across there, and notice how we try to go higher once, and now we've got them trapped, and this thing turns and goes right out the other side. I'd have a stop once it starts trying to work lower. I'd put me a sell stop right there, and if it goes lower, I'd take it, and look at that thing go, boom. And then you get another failed second entry long with a big bearish bar. You do have a break here, but this thing is almost kind of this is almost, well, actually it's not almost, it is. There's another trading range kind of running across here as well, and we tested that twice. So this is like a breakout pullback second entry short, and then notice we get it again right here off that line. This is the third test of that line. Look how bearish that is. I like going short again there. I wouldn't risk anything after that. That gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. This is a really nice rally. If you were trading, this is a spiking channel to the upside. You've got this original trend line working up through here, but it's too steep. Just like coming down, it was originally too steep. And then you got this channel kind of working up. So you got a spiking channel back to the upside. You can see that there. And there's some pretty good trades off that, but you know, I just don't like trading after 2 o'clock. Too many things can go wrong. But really a good trading day. I hate to see the market sell off like this and get spooky and get super volatile again. Um, you got to learn to go with the flow, because sometimes you got to take what you get. And sometimes some of these moves you can catch them and catch an easy runner, and just, it only takes one or two trades, and you can make a whole day's worth of trading on a regular day in one or two trades. So there's good and bad with it, but for less experienced people, they really struggle with the high volatility, and it can whipsaw you if you're not careful. But if you're reading the price action properly, and you're confident in your abilities, the price action still works the same. It just moves a lot quicker, and the moves go a lot further. That's the only real difference. And so keep that in mind. But yeah, really good trading day, especially for the first day back. And that might have had a lot to do um, with the how strong the sell-off was, because most of your big players are probably back today and back in the saddle and getting started for the new year after taking a couple of weeks off. Um, so anyway, hopefully you had a good day. I hope you enjoyed again your holiday period, and hopefully you took some time off. If you didn't, hopefully you got a chance to um, do some trading and do some studying and get better at this. And that's how you do it. You continue to study the price action, study your charts, study your trades, and don't be so eager to go. Um, I know you always hear me say this, and um, I probably don't say it enough though, but don't be so eager to go live, because a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you think you got this down, but you still do not have enough experience. It's like going up against, the best way I can think about it is imagine learning to fly a fighter plane, and you got to get in that plane and go up in the sky. So not only, and then you got to fight against experienced fighter pilots that already know how to fly well. They've been flying for years and years and years, and they're very good at not only flying, but at shooting other planes out of the sky. And here you are, you're just learning to fly. You don't know anything about fighting other planes that are going to be trying to shoot you down. You're learning how to fly, but yet you're going up there thinking that you're not going to get shot down. Trust me, you're going to get shot down. And trading is no different. If you don't have the skill set and the experience, you're going up against guys that have been doing this for years and years and years and are very, very good at it. And you expecting to beat them is just a pipe dream. Yeah, you might win a few battles, you might get a few shots in, but in the end, you're going to get shot down, and you're going to blow your trading capital when you're not ready. And that's what happens to most traders that try to do this. They try to start too soon, they go live too soon, and they're not ready, and they lose all their money. And then they can't trade anymore because they don't have any more money. And they do that two or three times, and they get discouraged and they give up. But the problem was, it's not that they can't do it. They just weren't ready yet, because this is a very tough business. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But it can be done. The problem is most people just do not stay with it long enough. And, either they give up and they go away, or they go broke, or both. Usually it's both. They go broke and then they give up. So, and some traders just keep at it and finally give up just as they're maybe getting close to turning that corner. So if you want to do this, don't give up, but don't be so eager to go live. Keep your money in your pocket, get a good sim account, and work on this until you've proven you can do it on the simulator for an extended period of time. And if you can do that, still doesn't mean you can do it live, because there'll still be that psychological step of going from play money to real money. But at least you've proven you can do it if you can get over that psychological hump, and then that's your next goal, is to work at that. And so you want to go slow even when you go live, maybe just trading singles or whatever and scalping out in full or whatever. Um, but that's how I recommend doing it. I haven't said that in a while, so I thought I would throw it out there. But anyway, we're 30 minutes into this today. Um, Hopefully, we'll have a midday chart on the website tomorrow morning. We'll be back for a regular week this week with the chart lesson and so forth. And, we may continue to have some really good movement this week and high volatility. So maybe we get a chance for some trading. But I'm going to finish up for today. Um, we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. But I'm out of here for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.